Hi, this is Jason, and this is my review for Hocus Pocus 2, directed by Fletcher, the director of The Proposal, The Guilt Trip, and Hot Pursuit. And it has the return of Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy, I'm not sure if that's how you say your name right, as the Sanderson Sisters, as well as newcomers like Whitney Peak, Lilia Cunningham, and Melissa Escobedo. I don't know if that's how you say her name either. It takes place 29 years after the first film, and is about two teenage girls who are gifted a candle at a magic shop. And in this film, in today's time, these two girls accidentally light this candle, bringing the Sanderson sisters back to life and wreaking havoc on Salem once again. I didn't grow up watching the original Hocus Pocus film. I didn't watch it as a kid. I ended up watching it as an adult, so I don't have any nostalgia for it, and seeing the movie myself, I don't love it as much as other people. It has a very cliched story and one-dimensional human characters, but granted, I do see the appeal in that film. It does have some creepy moments and some stakes going on, and I do really like the main three actresses who play the Sanderson sisters. I thought they have really good chemistry, and the movie also has some very surprising adult humor. So when they announced that they were going to do a sequel to Hocus Pocus, I wasn't all that excited because I'm not a huge fan of the original Hocus Pocus film, but part of me was still hoping that this film could still be fun since it has the original main three actresses back for this film, so maybe this one could end up being an enjoyable watch. So the good first, Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy are once again great as the Sanderson sisters. Their chemistry is still there, their humor always works when they're on screen, they make the movie more charismatic, and they're easily the best part of this movie. The rest of the acting is fine, like the actress who plays the main character in the film, Becca, played by Whitney Peak, is fine in the film, as well as the girl that plays her friend, Izzy. There were a couple of funny moments in the film, most of them coming from the sisters themselves whenever they bicker and argue about certain things, or when Tony Hale comes on screen, which, by the way, yes, Tony Hale is in this movie, and without spoiling, there is one scene that I thought was funny involving him trying to get a caramel apple. I mean, I thought that had a couple of funny moments, and yeah, those are the only good things I found in this film. The rest, though, not so much. The story isn't all that engaging. Like, it does take itself too seriously when the witches aren't on screen, because every time the three main witches are on screen, they add some more fun and levity whenever they take the spotlight. But when it's not focusing on them and it just focuses on the two main characters that we're supposed to root for throughout this film, it doesn't really add much. It just really gives it a more dry and serious tone that just doesn't really work. Sure, the first film with the main character isn't all that engaging either, with him just hating his new neighborhood that he just moved into and has to learn to enjoy it and has to figure out how to stop these witches from wreaking havoc in the town. But that film still had some of the charm and the fun throughout the story, and it wasn't afraid to get serious with the stakes and with the opening of that film. If you haven't seen the film, I'm not gonna spoil it just in case, but the opening in that film is definitely one of the darkest moments that you would see in a Disney film. This film, however, there's no charm, there's no stakes involved really, and there aren't any dark moments. Besides Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy, and even Tony Hale, who are giving a lot of fun and energy throughout the film, everyone else, though, is just being very serious with what they're going through. Like, for one, the main character, Becca, is going through issues in her life because her older friend, played by Lilia Buckingham, isn't hanging out with her anymore because she likes to hang out with the cool kids all the time. And it really falters the movie every time it's brought up. It makes it feel very bland, and it happens a lot. This movie also attempts to flesh out the three main witches a bit, like showing a flashback of them as little kids, and you get to see how they became witches. Now, I will appreciate this film for doing that, and the three younger kids playing these witches did do a pretty good job in that scene, but the way that scene was done just didn't really feel satisfying. Like, it didn't feel like something you would expect these witches to turn out to be when they get their origin story. Some of the green screen in this film is very noticeable every time you see these witches flying on screen with a broom, a Swiffer, and two Roombas. Speaking of the Swiffer and the two Roombas, they got those from Walgreens, which there is a lot of Walgreens product placement in this movie, and it got really annoying every time you would see it on screen. And there, without giving anything away, there's one scene where they're going in a room and you hear an automatic voice and maybe go, oh no, please no more products. I don't need this. I get this takes place in today's time, but I don't really need that much product placement in this movie. There's another thing I want to mention that's kind of disappointing, and that is the humor. It's not very adult. It doesn't go for any of the dark humor either. It just plays it safe with the more watered down type of humor, and it really doesn't work. It just falls flat every time they do it. There's another new character in this film that, to be honest, really doesn't serve much of a purpose in the film. Like, this movie tried to add something in this film just to give him a reason to be there, but he's just really there for filler and as an excuse to bring the Doug Jones zombie back. Now, this last thing I'm going to mention may not be a big deal for some people, but it is for me because it feels like a plot hole. Like, there's this one scene where Bette Midler is flying around this apartment and she's seen through this window, and I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying this. She is seeing two guys watch a scene from the first Hocus Pocus film. I'm not kidding, she's actually noticing that, and there's really no explanation for that. Like, did the events in the first Hocus Pocus film actually happen in this world 29 years ago, or was there actually a Hocus Pocus movie around this universe? Like, which universe does this movie take place? Explain to me Hocus Pocus 2. You're making this very confusing for me to understand. Hocus Pocus 2 may not be a terrible movie with some decent jokes and some pretty good acting, but it really doesn't save it from a weak story, bland characters, and humor that just plays it safe. If you're a fan of the first Hocus Pocus, I really don't see you enjoying this as much as the first film, because this film just wants to continue playing the safe route. But if you do end up liking this film as much as the first, then I'm glad you did, but I didn't, because again, I didn't grow up watching the first Hocus Pocus film. It's not my cup of tea, so I really can't give this movie a pass for going the safe route. I'm gonna give Hocus Pocus 2 a C. It's on Disney Plus right now, and if you guys have seen Hocus Pocus 2, what did you think about it? Did you think it was as good as the first Hocus Pocus, or did you think this was a disappointment and just didn't need to be made at all? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this review, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.